When it comes to professional sports, there are certain things that need to be understood. And one of them is that no matter how good you are, or how careful you are, or how much damage you've endured and been fine over the years, well, you're likely to get injured if you play these intense pro sports. If you need proof of this, look at the NBA playoffs right now, where injuries are happening left and right. The NFL is also known for injuries to happen on a dime and sometimes in the strangest of ways. So allow us to show you the 12 weirdest injuries in NFL history. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 12, Marshall. Does the name Brandon Marshall sound familiar with incidents when it comes to freak injuries? Well, this time he's not being stabbed. To add to his impressive resume of non-football related injuries, listen to this one. Marshall initially said to reporters that he slipped and fell on a McDonald's wrapper, stuck out his hand to brace his fall, and it went through a TV entertainment center. He also confirmed later that he was a wee bit drunk. On the field, Brandon Marshall was a powerful and fierce wide receiver. Off the field, he just kept finding ways to injure himself. Pretty sad. Number 11, excessive celebration, penalty. They always say celebrating excessively makes you a sore loser. Here is kicker Bill Grammatica's story. Grammatica tore his ACL jumping for joy after making a 42-yard field goal for the Cardinals. The torn ACL placed Grammatica on the sidelines for the rest of his rookie season. And he was never the same after the injury, going from making 16 of 20 field goals his rookie year to being out of the NFL 3 years later. When you make a field goal, just smile and walk away or do the occasional arm pump. Now, sure, there's no way of knowing that his ACL would have torn from that very particular jump, but it happened. And like we said, his career wasn't the same after that, which is sad because it went from one of the happiest moments in his life to one of the worst. Number 10, hit the turf hard. This one goes way back to 1940. Out on the field for the coin toss prior to a game with the New York Giants, Turk Edwards quickly spun around to head back to his team's sidelines. Sounds pretty normal, right? Well, the fact that he blew out a knee when his cleats became entangled with the turf certainly is not. The injury ended not only his season, but his career as well. This is the kind of injury you can't help but feel sorry for the player for, because that was a freak occurrence that could have been easily stopped 1,000 different ways, but fate decided otherwise. Number 9, an axe to grind. After an 0-3 start, Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Jack Del Rio placed a stump in the locker room with an axe in it. The message to the team was, keep chopping wood, meant to inspire his players. Players all took a hack at the stump, and then it was punter Chris Hansen's turn. Swinging the axe and missing, Hansen hit himself and gashed his right leg. Hansen required emergency surgery that ended his season. However, Hansen is no stranger to odd injuries. In June of 2002, Hansen, his wife, and former Jaguars place kicker Jared Holmes were all severely burned at Hansen's house when a fondue pot overturned. At some point, you just have to wonder if someone is cursed, you know? Number 8, Q-tip. On September 30th, 2007, after a win over the Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants linebacker Chase Blackburn was accidentally bumped by a reporter in the locker room while cleaning his ears with a Q-tip. Blackburn's eardrum nearly ruptured by the invading swab, and he reported a loss of hearing. Could you imagine that happening? Next time you decide to clean your ears, be aware of your surroundings. And that must have been a hefty reporter or an Eagles fan. Regardless, you have to keep your ears clean, but seriously though, how does this kind of thing happen? The amount of things that would have to happen for this to occur would have to be immense, and yet it happened. What a world. Number 7, shot to the groin. In the summer of 2007, Washington Redskins rookie safety LaRon Landry took a paintball shot to his groin during a team building outing. Ouch. Well, that shot left him unable to practice with the team when minicamp opened 2 days later. But thankfully for Landry, he was fine after a few days and there was no permanent damage. Pads are invented for a reason, Landry. But this is just another one of those freak injuries that you can't predict, nor should you even have to worry about them in the first place. It was a team building exercise, and it ended in a near major injury on a player. Not cool, you know? Number 6, ice cold. On October 9th, 2006, Pittsburgh Steelers RG Kendall Simmons suffered a frostbite-like burn after falling asleep with a chemical ice pack on his foot while watching some Monday Night Football. The injury caused him to miss the next game in hopes his wound didn't worsen. See, it happened again. This wasn't just an injury, but it was an injury that was caused by trying to heal another injury. It was a recovery injury. How does that happen? Yes, you can blame Simmons for falling asleep at the wrong time, but clearly he didn't expect to wake up with a frostburn. Number 5, bad bite. You know those cheap bug sprays they sell everywhere to keep away the annoying bugs? Invest in them. You won't regret it. Carolina Panthers Kendall Moorhead woke up on the first day of the team's training camp with a mysterious bite mark on his right forearm. 4 days after the bite occurred, he was hospitalized and on intravenous fluids and antibiotics for 4 more days. Next, his hand and elbow became infected and swollen. It is believed that Moorhead was bitten by a spider, but the definite cause is unknown. To be fair, investing in certain sprays may not have saved him from the bite, but he clearly must have had an allergic reaction to some sort of bite. But yeah, that's a weird one right there. Number 4, headbutt. Back in 1997, after scoring a 1-yard run late in the first half of a game against the New York Giants, Washington Redskins quarterback Gus Ferrati decided that headbutting a padded wall at the end zone was manly. Well, that headbutt caused him to sustain a sprained neck that required x-rays and a trip to a local hospital for evaluation. The good news is that at least they won the game, so it was worth it in its own way, but kids, don't try that at home. Number 3, kernel of truth. This one must have been a thing to watch. Do you know how to take a 6'7", 360-pound offensive lineman down? Well, Orlando Brown of the Cleveland Browns knows how. During a December game in 1999, Brown went down in a heap after being hit in the face with a penalty flag during an unsportsmanlike conduct call. At the time, the league's yellow flags were weighted with popcorn kernels, and the massive lineman suffered loss of vision and damage to his right eye. Brown went on to sue the NFL and missed 3 full seasons. The injury prompted the league to require all penalty flags to be weighted with sand. Believe it. Number 2, bad shot. Players should always be careful what they do in their free time. They wouldn't want to jeopardize hurting themselves. Back in May of 2003 at a charity golf event, Derek Mason broke his right hand while teeing off. It's just one of those freak things, Mason said after the fact. I hit the ball wrong and kind of twisted my hand. He can thank Coach Jeff Fisher, who was responsible for hosting the event. And this is proof that sometimes these injuries are just so weird, you can't believe they happened, but they did. Number 1, helmet to head injury. During the Seattle Seahawks-Jacksonville Jaguars pregame player announcements, fullback Owen Schmidt wanted to get himself fired up and ready. How did he decide he would do that? Well, by smashing his helmet to his head repeatedly, of course. The act left him with a major gash in his forehead and blood loss. However, he did still play in the game after getting numerous stitches in a New Jersey. What's that line about blood, sweat, and tears? So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the NFL and the times that the injuries hit players out of nowhere, or in the absolute weirdest of ways? Which of these injuries did you think was the flukiest of the bunch? Which ones made you feel really bad for the player who got injured? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and we'll see you next time on the channel.